Hey folks, earlier in the year I made a video showing piling up manure to compost. After we got the goats out of here and they went out to, after kidding season, and they went out to pasture. And we piled it all up right up here in front of the building and a little bit around this corner here. And you can see how much less there is there after it's been able to compost down for, 6 or 7 months. It's been December right now. Now some of it did wash down the hill here a little bit, but most of it just composted down and reduced down. This is a later pile that got put up here, so it's only been composting for like a month to 2 months about. It came from another spot. But not all that much washed down there. I mean, you can still see the bottom of those cattle panels down there along the ground. So it didn't, it's not like it all just went down the hill and is up against the panels down there. For actually getting it out of here now, using the skid steer with the bucket, obviously, and then using side by side with a mini manure spreader behind it. I'll make a little bit more talking about that manure spreader, but this is just kind of a before and after video, following up on the video from earlier in the year. This is actual composted stuff here through and through, and this gives you an idea of what it looks like. This is just composting for, like I said, 6 or 7 months. This is going to be really, really nutrient dense for the soil and really good for the soil. And again, it's a heck of a lot fewer trips than taking it out when it's fresh. So. All right, so this is the miniature manure spreader that we use. Loyal brand, I guess is what it is. I bought it a few years back, used it enough to make it worthwhile. They hold their value pretty good, so if I wanted to turn it back into cash, I could do that. I have loaned it out for cash to people a couple of times as well. It's about as simple as they make these. It's ground driven, obviously, there's no PTO. You got 2 levers, there's an apron chain underneath that pushes the manure towards the back. And then there's the spreader part, which is just a single tine spreader back here. There's no rear gate, so if you're driving around with it full, it does, a little bit leaks out. You can spend a lot more than what I did on this on a miniature manure spreader. You can also find used manure spreaders that are a little too big to be pulled with a side-by-side, but still with like a small tractor, maybe a bigger side-by-side than mine. So that's another option for that. Before I had a manure spreader, when I did do this, which isn't very often because we try to stay out of confinement, we try not to have to do stuff like this. But before I had a manure spreader, what I did was use a cart just behind the side-by-side or four-wheeler, or a wheelbarrow before we even had a four-wheeler, and walk it out here and dump it out and then take a fork or pitchfork and just kind of throw it around a little bit so it's not just one big pile. Might be thinking, why, I bet it stinks out there right now. And actually, no, not really right now. Again, all of this has been composted and reduced down. There's not really any biodegrading happening. It's also cold out, so that also stems the biodegrading. That being said, when we cleaned it up in the spring, yeah, that stunk, and that stunk for a few days after we did that. There are obviously going to be a lot of different pluses and minuses to most things out there. With a small manure spreader, a big plus is that you can tow it with a side-by-side or a four-wheeler. You can also get it through tighter spaces. If you're on hilly ground, it's going to be a lot better for that. The downside, probably the biggest downside, is that you're going to have to make a lot more trips back and forth. The larger manure spreader, what might be 2 trips, is turning out to today it'd be about 5 to 10. I haven't been counting, but it's in that neighborhood. One real good bucket load from the skid steer fills this up, just one bucket load. Usually, most of the time the bucket's not quite that full and it takes a couple tilts with it. So it is more back and forth, but given that I don't have a tractor to tow one with, and I don't want to use the pickup or something like that, and given that I don't use it all that often either, and also given that we are, semi-wooded silvopasture, whatever you want to call it here, it's a good fit for me right now. Obviously, if we scale up, I might decide I want a bigger one in the future. So if you want to get a feel for what it does, this is just a single pass that I did right before this. There's a bigger chunk there, but you can see the little chunks. Spreads them out nice and around. We went all the way with one load, all the way up and down and around, and we ran out just on the way back here. It kind of worked out just perfect for that. So gives you a little bit of an idea of how fast it feeds out and stuff like that for this particular model, at least. Again, there's nicer models that'll have like variable speed settings, and they'll have a rear gate so it doesn't dribble out while you're driving around. They also have multiple tines on the back, so they do a little bit better job of kind of breaking it up and spreading it around. This one just has the single spindle tine, whatever it's called. But yeah, that's the miniature manure spreader. Works pretty well. I've always been pretty happy with it.